So, hello everyone, and I am right here. Actually, we're back home having had a fantastic time away, and I have just actually been joined by, and I know this is probably not really what everybody wants to see, but look at our gorgeous little orange man here. He just pushed that door open. He's a bit naughty. He's sitting on the chair below me here. Anyway, he won't disturb us. So, I just welcome everyone. Thank you for being here with us. I'm presuming this is going out. I would be great if anybody can let me know that you can hear me. I'm watching this over on Facebook as well, so that's pretty good that I can see you. So a couple of things. On a scale of 1 to 10, how's everyone feeling today? I guess you're. Just want to make sure these are connected, that where sound is on. Oh,
having a couple of new technology things. So I'm trying new things. I'm always trying new things. I'm trying to bring the best to everybody, bring you some great information. How's everyone feeling today? It's pouring rain and cold here in Sydney. Thank you, Emma. You're there. Lovely to see you. Thank you so much. Hopefully I'll be able to see your questions when they pop up. Okay, so I'm going to get started. So I just have a little health announcement to make first. So I had this funny little thing on my nose a few weeks ago, and it took a little while to get better. And it's around about this time that I get my health check done every year for all my skin, all my freckles. And of course, because we've been away in the sun, my freckles are sort of standing out a little bit more. And, you know, I went and had my skin checked this morning, and I said to him, oh, I had this funny little thing, and it was annoying me with my glasses. So I've been wearing my contact lenses, and I'm wearing my contact lenses today. And he said, oh my gosh, he said, we'll give that a little freeze. Actually, what was the exact word? He says, I think we'll give that a little freeze. So it was an early squamous cell carcinoma, which is the earliest stage of skin disease from the sun. And so I'm just going to give everybody a health check. If you get your skin checked on a regular basis, go get yourself booked in for that. All those other things, you know, make sure your dental checks are done, all the girl checks we do, all the boy checks we do, all the body checks. We're so lucky living in a country like Australia, and wherever you are in the world, that you can have the sorts of checks that we can have that help to keep us. So, you know, who wants to have half my nose cut away? The reason we are so vigilant here to taking care of our skin is that my mum actually, when we very first came to Australia, my sister and I were babies, and my mum got a job working in the Radium Institute, which was in the Royal Brisbane Hospital. And she worked in the Radium Institute, and she saw people, this was in the, gosh, way back in the 60s, and she saw people with half their faces cut away. I remember her telling me about ears being cut off, and just, you know, how awful it was. So I'm really hyper vigilant. Anyway, I'm really grateful that I went and did that. So anyway, I just wanted to start with that because our health is so important when it comes to running a business. You know, how we eat well, how we get enough sleep, how we get enough exercise. And I know there's numbers of people who can't actually get out and about so much at the moment, but there's videos online. You know, I know someone who was locked up for 2 weeks. They'd been traveling and they had to self-isolate for 2 weeks. They got themselves a running machine and did some walking every day to keep their 10,000 steps up. So there's ways that we can look after ourselves. And it's a little bit every day. You know, we don't, one of my friends said to me, you know, we don't actually wait until the end of the week and give our teeth a clean for about an hour. We actually do twice a day for the 2 minutes. And so, you know, it's that little bit every day. So I just want to bring us back now to why is it so important to have financial confidence? Why do we need to build our financial independence? So let me know why this is important to you. And I'm trying to see if I can actually see anybody's comments here. All good with the sound, Emma. Thanks so much for letting me know that. So what I'd love to know is, how are you feeling on in terms of what is important to you about making financial decisions? Why, when you make business decisions, why do you think it's important to start using your finances, using your data to actually do that? So some of the things that I think about when I think about how important it is to make decisions based on finance is that when you actually make money and you make good money in your business, you can buy new equipment. You can pay for training for yourself. You can hire people to do things for you. We've talked about that on another live, you know, that when you actually have money, it helps to, you know, you can hire people, you can pay yourself, you can negotiate better conditions for your lease, for your for any of the other loans or anything else that you need. You can grow a business into a state that you want it to be in, and you can make contributions. The wonderful Dr. Sonia is a dentist that I know, and you know, she uses some of her resources to provide dental to women who are victims and their families victims of domestic violence. You know, one of my mentors provides education to girls who would not otherwise receive that opportunity. I personally support Orange Sky Laundry because I just think they're amazing what they do for homeless people. I think the Fred Hollows Foundation, you know, making eye surgery available to people who wouldn't otherwise have that. Imagine being blind, it would just be awful. One of my other mentors supports her local women by giving a percentage of what she earns. And she actually said to me recently, she said, Ingrid, I could do what I do for free, but the thing is I don't, because I want to make sure that you know, a percentage of the money that I earn is a percentage of the money that I earn, I'm able to put back into my local community and support women who need it in the community. So, you know, often people say to me, it's not about making money. I love what I do. And I absolutely get that as well. I could do what I do for free, but it's really about charging what you're worth and being able to generate income for yourself and your family and your community. And it allows you to make a bigger contribution. It also allows you to sleep at night because you're not worrying about where money's going to come from. You're not worried about how you're going to pay the bills. So let's agree that we're going to make some money. And, you know, here I have my profit first triangle hierarchy pyramid, and it's based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And, you know, the first thing we absolutely need is cash. And then and cash comes from our revenue, it creates performance. Cash is from the sales, and then we have profit. So I'm going to show you, and the reason I'm doing this on Zoom today, I'll go back to using my phone, I think, next week, but I just wanted to share my screen and show you the profit calculator. Now, some of you have already set up your Profit First account. If you've set up your accounts and you're using your Profit First account to have some monies set aside for profit. So what you do is you, oh gosh, now I've just changed something here and I don't know where I am. There we go, let's put this one. Make this bigger. How do I make that bigger again? There we go, pull that out, there we are. So what we can do is we can have our Profit First account. We have our Profit First account and we put our 1% away, and that's so 1% of our revenue. And I'm going to show you on this calculator. So if you have revenue and you put away 1%, so I put away 5% of my revenue to profit, and I put away about 12% of my revenue goes straight into an account for tax and for GST. So it's really important actually to have an account where you put away, I've always said this to my clients, where you put away your tax, where you put away your GST or your services tax, whatever you want to call that, wherever you are in the world. And so that every time you get revenue, that money is set aside so that quarterly or monthly or however often you have to pay your GST, that you are actually able to just pay it because you know you already have it. So I put aside 12%, so that's some for GST and some for tax. So depending on how much tax you're paying in your business, you might want to increase that amount or have a different amount for it. I say so many businesses come unstuck because they haven't got cash flow. So it's super important that when the revenue comes in, that some of that money is actually set aside for GST if you're in the system of GST, and it's also important to put away for tax, because if you get to the end of the year and you get a tax bill, how on earth are you going to manage that? Okay, so has anybody got any questions about their Profit First account? I'm just really curious if you're putting your money away, if you've been able to move, if you've got some money in, if you've got, is that a way to, I've got a question here. Sorry you're late. Yes, Mark, thank you. Oh, okay, so it's working. Thanks very much for letting me know. Is that enough? Is 12% enough? It might be. Again, this isn't financial advice. I have to put a caveat around this. Everybody's situation is going to be a little bit different. But if you put away the 10 to 12%, that is enough to cover your GST, because in Australia, GST is 10%. And so it's actually 1/11 of what you get. So if you got $110 in revenue, then the GST is 10% of that. So you would divide by 11, so it's $10. So $100 is for you and $10 belongs to the government. And the reason it's so important to put the GST away is that this is actually money that doesn't belong to you. It's money, it's the money that is actually belonging to the government. And yes, you may need to put more than 12%, depending on how profitable your business is. So if you end up with a tax bill that is more, it's important to go talk to your accountant and find out what is that amount of money that you should be putting away. Now, whether you put it into an account that's a high interest account or whether you set it against your mortgage, but it's about having the money put away so that you're not actually finding yourself in a situation where you get to the end of the year and you put in your tax return and you find out that you haven't got enough money to pay it. It's the cash flow issue. So 12% is what I do. For your business, it may need to be a little bit more or it may need to be a little bit less. Okay, so back to this Excel spreadsheet. I just want to go back to the spreadsheet and I'll just show you what we have here. So if you haven't already got the spreadsheet, this is called the profit calculator. And the idea of the profit calculator is really for someone who has never really done this before. If you've never really calculated your profit, you've never really added up your expenses, you've never really looked at how much revenue you need to get. And many of you coming into this group have said to me, your greatest challenge is how to have enough money, how much to charge. And I have people when they're making decisions in their business, there's a whole lot of people at one end of the spectrum who are doing it by the seat of their pants. They're following the next shiny, bright object that comes along. There's some people that just would like to be getting involved in it. Some people run their reports. Sometimes people check their account balances. But the people who are at the other end of the spectrum are people who can look at these reports, who can say, I need to make this much money in my business because this is how much it costs me. This is how much I want to pay myself. And that's the total revenue. And in order to have that much revenue, I need to have this many clients paying me this much money, or I need to sell this many of the products that I sell, and this is the amount I need to charge. So we need to be able to articulate in a very clear way what it is that we want to make, how we get there, what our expenses are, and how much we want to pay ourselves. So this is a basic calculator that can help you do that. Now, if you haven't already got one, do let me know in the comments there. Just say profit calculator. Thank you. It's actually not that complicated, but it can be. And in fact, I had a client fill this in recently and she emailed me back and she said, my head hurts. Oh, my brain hurts. So I know sometimes working with the numbers, the brain hurts, but that's what I'm here to help you with. So if you want help with this, email me, ingrid@healthynumbers.com.au. I'll put it in the notes, ingrid@healthynumbers.com.au, and we can do this together. But if you'd like to have your own go at it first, let's have a look. So what I want to show you is, so what I've done here on this tab here, it says example business expenses. I think you should be able to see this. And what I've done is I've just put a whole lot of different prices in here for different expenses and costs. And what that's done is it adds up down to here and it comes up with a total of how much it costs to run this business for a year. Now, these cells are protected, so you can't actually change them, but you can add all sorts of amounts in here. And this is your business expenses sheet over here. So what happens is this amount comes forward onto the calculator. And so on this calculator page, and I'm hoping everybody's still with me, profit calculator, Emma, I'll send it straight through to you as soon as I'm finished with this so you can have a look at it. And if you need help with any of it, let me know. Okay, so so what happens is it pulls this amount over from the other side. And then it says, let's just break it into the quarterly amount. So that's just letting you know that if this is how much expenses you have, this is how much revenue we need for each quarter. And when we go back and have a look at the expenses, what I've also done is I've allowed you to change how much you want to pay yourself. So there's a space in the calculator on that example page where you can start to play with this without your own numbers and you can see what happens if you pay yourself more money or less money. So what I've said here is, let's talk about profit. So if we wanted to have 1% profit, expenses for the first quarter plus 1% profit. So what I've done down here is I've taken this amount for the quarter and I've added in 1%. And that's then set up here how much you actually need to make. So the revenue, sales, or the revenue or the sales for the first quarter is this much per quarter or this much per week. Now, this is based on a 52-week year. And I do have a number of clients who've said to me, but Ingrid, I only work 44 weeks. So I'm working on how I can change this on the spreadsheet. So what you would just need to do is take this amount and divide it into however many weeks you're going to work. So if you're only going to work 40 weeks out of the 52, then you take that 24,000 and you divide it by 40 instead of dividing it by the 52. Hopefully I'm not losing anybody right now with the maths, but I'm here to help you with this. If you're feeling a little like this is kind of what are we talking about, absolutely, we can set up a session and we can have a look at it together. But the joy of this little spreadsheet is that you can actually change this to, so what if we wanted to make 5% profit? Now, what I want you to watch is where it says up there, so you've got $243 is 1% of that over a quarter. If we now change that to 5, that's saying, oops, oh, why didn't it change? Something's happened to my spreadsheet. I'll have to go back and change that. This is supposed to change. Oh my gosh, I wonder what's happened. Maybe my spreadsheet's not working because I'm in Zoom. It was working before. Anyway, that's a bit embarrassing. So what happens is it actually changes the amount. Let me just come over here and let me see if it works on this one. If I make that 1, that changes it back. And if I make that one 5, oh, sorry, now I know what's happened. Sorry, this is actually saying it's 1% here. So the 5%, so sorry, my mistake. So this is what happens if you have 1% profit, as in the profit first calculator. This one here says, so instead of 24,533 for 1%, you need to make 25,000. And so instead of 1,887, it's 1,962. So you can see that in a week, you actually need to make almost another $100 based on these expenses. Oh, I'm so sorry, I got a bit confused there myself. So what if you want to make more profit? So this is what would happen if you want to make 1% profit, and this is what would happen if you want to make more profit. So if we change that back to, so say you want to make 10% profit, then it shows you that it makes this much impact on the amounts there. So it allows you to change that. Did I lose anybody there? Thank you. It seems okay. Yes, it does. So that's the profit calculator. And so that's how it works in the example. And then what we do over here is in your business expenses, I've just set them up with slightly different colors in case that makes it a little bit easier. So there's all different types of expenses. There's occupancy costs, there's the cost of goods, the materials, there's some, if you have a car for business, if you have marketing and advertising costs, insurance costs, professional services, staff costs, how much you want to pay me, not me, but you, professional development, workers' insurance, general and admin, all the different bank charges. We know that they're there, credit card expense, travel, entertainment, equipment repairs. Remember, entertainment is actually not a tax deductible and it's fringe benefits taxable. And then there's this minor equipment because you probably need to make some minor equipment. If you're making major equipment purchases, that's a different thing altogether. And this calculator doesn't really allow for CapEx and loan repayments to the same degree. It's really a simple calculator for people getting started. Again, it's general in nature and you need to seek professional advice and legal advice before making any financial decisions. So then this comes back over to what yours is, and then you, because you've filled in your expenses, it tells you what your revenue is. And then if you know that this is how much money you need to make every week, every quarter, then you start to build out what is it you need to do in order to be able to generate that revenue. Now, maybe you've got a bit lumpy You've got lumpy revenue, and I'm going to talk about cash flow in a separate session, but it would be really, this is just gives you an idea of this is how much you need. So if you're running a business where you have regular people and you need to have $1,000 a week revenue in order to cover your costs, and if you charge everybody $100, then you need $10. You need 10 people. So if you have 10 people paying you $100 a week, then that's $1,000, and then that covers all your costs and pays you the money. So this is why we just need to work out how much we want. So there's that $1,000 there. So how do you get to that? And that's what I help with as well. So hopefully that this is kind of making sense for everybody. I know it's a lot of information to take in. It's super important to get on top of the numbers so that we're actually making decisions based on the information that comes in, that we're not doing it by the seat of our pants, that we're not just checking our bank account and saying, oh my gosh, there's money there, so I must be doing okay. So it's super important that what is our cash, what is our revenue, and then what is our profit. And I'll talk about the rest of this profit first pyramid in another session. I just wanted you to get to that. Can I have a thumbs up or a yes or a smiley face emoji in the comments? I'm going to sign off. It goes a little bit longer today. So I trust that you've found that helpful. Emma, I'm going to send you the profit calculator straight away, and then you can get started with it. And certainly if you have any questions, come back to me immediately and ask me. If you know anybody else who needs to have this information, tag them in this, send them a DM and ask them to, oh, thanks Emma, that's great. Send a DM and ask them to, join the group. I'm really going to keep talking about this every Monday. Now that I've figured out how to use Zoom and get it across to Facebook, I'm going to do this all the time. I'm going to start sharing these spreadsheets. If you want to give me yours, we can work on them together. So my pleasure, my absolute pleasure, Emma. So please, if you're listening to this and you know someone who's trying to get their finances in order, that they've never really done this, tag them. And if you have any questions, let me know. Okay, so time for a cup of tea or lunch or wherever you are in the world. I look forward to seeing you next week, and thank you for being in the Facebook group.